2 years ago, I beat every difficulty of a map in 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 2 seconds. And if that wasn't enough, it was with a brand new account. Well, we're going to run it back and try to beat that record. The timer will start when I hit play and end once we get the final medal. Right away, we went into the tutorial, placed as many monkeys as we could, and started the rounds. I made sure to put 2 up front to pop the balloons right away, and once we placed Quincy, we exited to home. I don't know why we're allowed to leave the tutorial 7 rounds early, but I'll take it. Once home, we booted up the new map Tinkerton on easy, put our hero near the start of the track, and hit play. Right next to him, I got a dart monkey as we need to start unlocking upgrades if we want to beat the harder rounds. You see, each round gives XP to us as a player, our hero to level up in-game, and to every monkey we have down to unlock upgrades. So we need to place monkeys we plan on using in the future to make sure we have all the necessary upgrades later on. At the end of round 5, we leveled up to 2 and unlocked the tack shooter. These guys are amazing at speedrunning because they can deal tons of damage at the very start of the track and specialize in taking out some of the tanky balloons later on. So I made sure to place 4 of them at the entrance. This way, we'll pop the balloons right away, and this will give the tack shooters most of the XP, as there's a set amount of experience awarded with every round, and it gets split up based on how much money you've spent on each monkey. So right now, we've spent $880 on tack shooters and $340 on dart monkeys, meaning tack shooters will get 72% of the XP from these rounds. We spent this XP unlocking 3 upgrades on round 10 and quickly upgraded our tacks to 101s. At this point, we were flying through the rounds, beating them about as fast as you can, and we were unlocking monkeys along the way. First the boomerang monkey and then the bomb shooter. We got down a bomb shooter for the leads that come on rounds 28 and 30, and we upgraded our dart monkeys to have camo detection. Now, easy mode is just that. Easy. The balloons are slower, monkeys are cheaper, and you only go to round 40. So winning wasn't what I was worried about. It was keeping our time down and unlocking the necessary upgrades for future modes. The main ones I focused on were bottom path tack shooters and dart monkeys, but we picked up some various ones like snipers and subs, as having XP on them later will be nice. But from here, we casually upgraded our monkeys, placed a few boomers, and coasted to round 40 where we take on the first Moab of the run. This thing has much more health than any balloon we faced so far, but between all our monkeys and using Quincy's ability, we popped it pretty quick. The next difficulty we went with was primary only. This is the easiest mode for us right now, and we'll use it to get even more upgrades for our primary monkeys. We started off almost exactly the same. Quincy and a dart monkey, and place some tack shooters up front. This is tried and true and gives us the XP we need, but in the middle of this, I got down a boomerang monkey, as basically everything about him is helpful. After upgrading our tack shooters to tier 3s and making our dart monkey a crossbow, we started working on the boomer, making it a 0-2-2 on round 32. This specific build is a very strong early game tower that we'll likely use going forward, so I was happy to have it unlocked. From here, we got another crossbow and started saving up for our first tier 4 upgrade of the day. We didn't waste any time during this save up though, as we were smoking the rounds, and on 36 we upgraded our frontmost tack shooter to a 204 overdrive. This makes it shoot 16 tacks per attack, and each one is 2 pierce, making it a beast at taking out Moabs and balloons alike. We saved up again, getting a second overdrive on round 38, and with this we easily beat primary only. So just 12 minutes into the run, we've beaten the tutorial and 2 of the 14 game modes. Now, the last mode in the easy category is Deflation, but that's very hands-off, so we're going to save it in case I need to do something like go to the bathroom. For now, we'll go into medium, where we have to beat rounds 1 through 60, and everything is more expensive than easy mode. Luckily, we could still start with Quincy, so we put him near the front and got down a dart monkey and tack shooter as soon as we could afford them. We treated the early game just like the previous runs, upgrading the tacks and making our dart monkey a crossbow. But we could already tell the jump in difficulty, as we even had to use Quincy's rapid shot on round 15 to prevent the balloons from getting past the start. After we got our usual tier 3s, we got 2 of those 0-2-2 boomers I was talking about earlier. These will give us the freedom to start getting XP on magic monkeys, which we are starting to unlock. The first 2 we got were the Wizard and Alchemist, as the Prior is amazing at speedrunning the mid-game, and Alchemist will give us tons of extra damage later on. To prep for round 40, we got an overdrive and upgraded both of our boomerang monkeys to bionic boomers, which deal great general damage. This popped the Moab pretty quick, but we needed some more damage up front and more camo popping power. To solve both of these problems, we upgraded our second tack to an overdrive and made our crossbows sharpshooters once we had the experience for the upgrade. But the late 40s and 50s are where things start to pick up, and it'll be tough without more tier 4 monkeys. So I placed some towers that I want XP on, like subs and ice monkeys, and got as much damage up front as I could, placing quite a few sharpshooters and bionic boomers. This not only beat the rounds pretty quick, but also got us some nice upgrades on the side. But soon we were at round 60, where we faced the BFB, a giant red blimp that holds 4 Moabs inside it. But Quincy recently hit level 10, giving him a second ability, and with this storm of arrows, we popped the BFB super fast. On to military only, a medium mode variant. This was the first mode that I was worried about as we don't have much XP on military monkeys, so I put Quincy in a very safe but slower spot and started the run. I got a sniper down right away to speed up the rounds and then got a submarine in the pool of orange juice. While not helpful right now, it only took a couple rounds to unlock advanced intel, which lets him shoot at balloons that any of your other monkeys can see, and I put a sniper up front to let him shoot at the balloons right as they spawn. Then we gave the sniper camo detection, so the sub will be able to see camos there too. Needless to say, we got another sub, making them both 202s once we had the money and XP. Airburst dart subs are very strong early game towers and should be able to carry us from now. From here, the run was simple. We gave both snipers lead and camo popping power and kept upgrading the submarines. This normally doesn't translate that well into the late game, but medium mode only goes to around 60, so I'm hoping we'll be fine. But after our subs got the triple guns upgrade, I spent some money getting a sniper to a 230 bouncing bullet for more grouped damage. This seemed great, but round 40 showed us how weak our single target damage was. Even with a third triple guns, the Moab got pretty far. Not ideal, but we only lost a second or two on this. What I really wanted was to get the 4th tier upgrade on subs, as that'll solve our issue, but that meant just waiting around for XP. So, in the meantime, I got our other sniper to a 032. Right after I did this, we unlocked APDs and spent basically all the money we made in the 40s upgrading our subs to 204s. Now, nothing was an issue, but we were pulling in money. So we filled the pool with more subs and bought another sniper. Not the most efficient thing, but it got the job done. And we popped the BFB at the very start. So we're 30 minutes in and have 5 medals. It seems like a good time, but the 7 modes in the hard difficulty take much longer than the other ones we've done so far, so I couldn't tell if we were ahead, behind, or right on pace for breaking my previous record. Next up, we have hard mode. This time, we'll be beating rounds 3 through 80, the balloons are faster, and everything is more expensive. I put Quincy in his normal spot, but this time he couldn't handle the first couple rounds on his own. A blue on round 4 made it all the way to the end, costing us 2 lives and some time. I guess I should have backed him up with a dart monkey right away, but after the leak we could afford a boomer, which I quickly made a 022. This, plus Quincy, was more than enough for the early rounds, so we were able to load the front with tack shooters and start working on our wizard. We already have Wall of Fire unlocked, which is amazing at taking out large rushes of balloons, as it damages any balloon that travels through the flames. And it's an expensive enough upgrade that he'll be getting a decent amount of XP. So after he was down, we got 2 crossbows to help out with camos. This got us to the end of the 30s, where we were just able to buy an overdrive for the Moab. And thank goodness, because even with it and Quincy's rapid shot, it got pretty far. The rest of the 40s were pretty simple though. We upgraded our crossbows to sharpshooters, got a second overdrive, upgraded our wizard to a dragon's breath, and made some bionic boomers. And most importantly, we worked on getting alchemist, village, and farm XP, as these are all S tier towers that we'll need later on. But now we need to worry about the big rushes in the future. Up until now, we haven't had to face any hard rounds, but the 60s and 70s are full of them. To prep for this, I got a Morglave's boomer to counter big rushes, and we unlocked Berserker Brew on the alchemist to help our overdrives pop Moabs. And with this, we took on the dreaded round 63. The first 2 waves of ceramics got pretty far, but our boomers were able to take them out without leaking, and we popped the final one with Quincy's Storm of Arrows. Luckily, the only thing that matters about this speedrun is how fast you pop the final balloons of every round, and we did that very fast with his ability. But shortly after this, we finally hit level 28 and unlocked Hbomb, the best hero we'll have access to this speedrun. And right after, we got our first tier 5 of the account, the Tack Zone. This guy shoots twice as many tacks as an overdrive, deals extra damage to Moabs, and attacks significantly faster. Overall, a massive increase in damage for our defenses. And we were able to pick up jungle drums on the village, making everything in its range attack faster. So in just a few seconds, we got several crucial unlocks. For the rest of the run, we just focused on getting XP on future towers. So we placed druids, ice monkeys, and another farm. And between all these monkeys, we were able to pop around 80 ZOMG pretty quick. After this, we threw on Hbomb and dove into magic monkeys only. Unfortunately, we can't start with him because he's too expensive, so we had to choose a normal magic monkey to start with. I defaulted to the ninja, as that's a decent starting tower, but we have almost no XP on it, making me nervous. Round 3 was just fine, and we even unlocked Seeking Shurikens, but round 4 was terrible. It looked like we were going to get everything, but one red balloon snuck through, and this thing was so slow that it wasted 7 seconds all by itself. Pretty tough. But because we didn't have any other upgrades unlocked on the ninja, we backed him up with a druid and they started manhandling the rounds. So much so that we were able to save up for Hbomb, placing him on round 10. This guy has an incredibly strong early game, so we should be good for a while. From here, we just upgraded our ninja and druid whenever we could. We continued this until round 28, where we got a wizard up front. At this point, we had a double shot ninja, an AMD alchemist, and we were close to getting a druid of the jungle, but we needed that wall of fire ASAP as that crowd control and camo popping power is amazing. Right after this, we made our druid a 130, one of the best speedrunning towers in the game. He has a global vine attack that one-shots the bloon it grabs, and leaves thorns on the tracks that pop bloons as they pass over it. Between him and the fire, bloon rushes will not be a problem. The Moab will be though, so we started building damage for that. Primarily, more druids near the front of the track, making them 0-1-3s by round 40. These guys throw a decent amount of thorns pretty quick, and with their help, we popped the Moab about as fast as usual, which was a nice surprise. I planned on just spamming druids from here, but we got another big upgrade, the Necromancer. This lets the wizard reanimate bloons, and they charge backwards along the track. And they can pop bloons the frame they spawn on top of being just a strong defender normally. With this, the rounds started flying by, and all we did was spam druids and alchemists. This gave us a ton of popping power, but we were really just waiting on the Poplust upgrade. While doing so, Oben hit level 10, and we could start placing his wall of trees. These insta-pop bloons as well as give us extra cash from them, so I used it whenever possible. And once we got Poplust, we went around to every druid and made it a 0-1-4. Each Poplust increases the attack speed and pierce of other druids in its range, and they actually become very strong for how cheap they are. But with this, we cruised through the rest of the game, placing down more druids whenever we could, and the ZOMG didn't stand a chance. Moving on, we chose double HP Moabs, which is just hard mode, but any blimp will have twice as much health as normal. I learned from last time and started with a ninja and dart monkey. This was able to pop the first couple rounds and get us enough money to start upgrading the ninja. After he was a 201, we were able to save up for Oben, locking up our early game defenses. Then we sold the dart and made a druid of the jungle. I plan on getting this guy just about every game as his vine is that good. But this let us upgrade our ninja to a double shot and buff him with a berserker brew, prepping us not only for the camos in the 30s, but also working towards a bloon jitsu upgrade later on. After this, we had to focus on the Moab, so we spammed Oben's brambles and built some tack shooters up front, getting one of them to an overdrive in time for round 40. This wasn't enough to pop it right away though, so it made it around the first loop and popped itself on the brambles we'd been setting up for several rounds. In the 40s, we got a second overdrive, a 220 village, and made our ninja a 402 bloon jitsu. This guy pairs amazing with an elk as he has 5 projectiles that seek out bloons, making him a great all-around damage dealer. After this, we started getting XP on ice monkeys as we'll want that for Impoppable and Chimps, and then buffed our overdrives with an elk as well. This set us up pretty nice for Moab damage, so we started placing Poplust druids all over, preferably in range of Oben and or the village. After getting 5 of these guys down, we were able to save up for attack zone, getting it on round 78. This guy shredded the final few rounds, especially since he was buffed by a primary training village and a stronger stim. I mean, even the fortified BFBs and the ZOMG were no match for him. And we beat double HP Moabs just an hour and 8 minutes into the speedrun. But now we had to pick our poison. Half cash or alternate bloon rounds. Both difficult modes, especially since we don't have any monkey knowledge. I opted for ABR first and started with a dart monkey and boomer. This took out rounds 3 and 4, but round 5 starts with camo reds. Luckily, we had just enough money to get a ninja to take these out. So now we have 3 base monkeys to start the game. I was worried how much this would set us back, but it was actually strong enough to let us get Oben on round 9, and I put him up front to take out any leads that'll be coming soon, and so that his brambles will always be placed near the start of the track. For more camo popping power, we sold the dart monkey and upgraded our ninja to a double shot over the next 9 rounds. Nothing was really causing us problems, but then I spent all our money upgrading the boomer to a 301 right before the camo lead came on round 24. I knew this is when it shows up, but I blanked and spent all of our money. So I had to sell the boomer and pick up a 110 sniper to handle it. Then we slowly built him back, eventually getting it to a 302 boomer on round 28. To back this guy up, we got a 130 druid. Not necessarily the best pickup right now, but any time saved would be wonderful. To get ready for round 40 though, we spammed brambles and built an overdrive at the start. The only problem is that I forgot the Moab is fortified in ABR, so it blew right through our defenses, and we didn't pop the final bloons until the very end of the track. Luckily, we didn't leak, but boy did that take some time. Clearly we'll need more damage, but I don't have the ABR rounds memorized like I do the normal ones, so I just got some all-around damage. We picked up a stronger stim alchemist, upgraded our boomer to a more glaives for any big rushes, and started building druids. Luckily, Oben is level 8 now, so any druid in his range can see camos, making this game mode much easier. Round 50 showed us that fortified Moabs were still tough though, so we backed these up with a necromancer right next to Oben. This, combined with getting jungle drums, put the Moabs in their place. But now it was time for Pop Plus, and the more we get the better for the most part. This was able to pop the Fortified BFB on round 60 and the Ceramic Rushes of 63, but from here it was business as usual. We saved up for the Tax Zone and worked on getting XP on the Ice Monkey, and just like that, we popped the ZOMGs that end ABR. Shifting gears, we're finally taking down Deflation. I needed a snack and to go to the bathroom, so I set up our epic defenses of Hbomb, a Bloon Jitsu, Dragon's Breath, Stronger Stim, and a Druid. In hindsight, we didn't need to get radar scanner on the village, but I figured we'd still be fine. So I left the game on fast forward and let my gaming chair handle the first 10 rounds. But even after I got back, there was nothing for me to do. So I just ate my Ritz peanut butter crackers and talked to chat for a bit. Quick question. If I have mod helper on, right? But I have all mods disabled and I do stuff like boss events, would I still get flagged? And would that really matter? Because I don't really play co-op or ranked. I guess it would stink if I ever wanted to do a ranked video. Fast forward a few minutes and we beat Deflation, getting us our 9th medal and a bronze border. Next we have Apopalypse, a game mode with random rounds and no breaks between them. This is normally one of the tougher game modes to beat, so I saved it until now. The nice thing about it is that we get medium prices, meaning we can start with Hbomb. And he was able to solo until we got a boomer to back him up. So a pretty easy start, and we made him a 002 before getting a Dart Monkey. I'm not quite sure when camo balloons can start coming in this game mode, so I played it safe and made him a crossbow early. I figured even if camos didn't come for a bit, he'd still help us pop the rounds quickly. We spammed brambles and held the balloons to the very start of the track. Then we got a Wall of Fire Wizard near the front and put a Druid of the Jungle behind the boomer. Between these two, no Bloon rush should get far. Normally, spending this much money on Bloons TD would make me worried about round 40, but because we're on medium, we have the money to splurge on extra monkeys like this. From here, we made our Wizard a Necromancer and got our boomer all the way to a 042 turbo charge. I haven't gotten too many of these so far, but boy are they great at taking out tanky balloons quickly. The only downside is that we rely on its ability instead of constant damage, but between these two and an overdrive, we are ready to pop the Moab in record time. Round 40 came, but no Moab. I knew the rounds were random, but I thought at least one would come. Anyway, we bolstered our defenses with the Jungle Drums Village, and there it is. Round 41 had a Moab that we popped absurdly fast, even without the turbocharger's ability. But from here, we got a more Glaives Boomer in case there were any big rushes, and coasted to the end, picking up some nice XP on the Ice Monkey and Banana Farm. Honestly, nothing really made it out of the spawn in the last 10 rounds. Our time had to be good, as that was one of the easiest Apopalypse seeds I've ever seen. All that's left is Half Cash, Impoppable, and Chimps, and we have just under an hour to beat them. I booted up Half Cash and was absolutely terrified. With no monkey knowledge, I knew this would be a doozy, but I told chat that the goal here was to just survive and get the medal. The timer doesn't matter as we don't have the luxury of speedrunning. I started with a Dart Monkey who popped round 3 just fine, but already on round 4 he leaked a ton of blues. We didn't really have another option, so I wasn't upset, but 2 rounds in and we're already down to 82 lives. After that, we got another Dart Monkey right next to him and continued on. This held the line pretty well, and I had to decide whether we save up for Owen or get another Dart Monkey. I knew the earlier we get our hero the better, but I wasn't sure how much we'd leak. Round 9, 1 red balloon got through. Round 10 we leaked 3, and we leaked 1 more on 11. Honestly, not too bad for just 2 Dart Monkeys, but with this we were able to get Oben at the start of round 12. And we were back to popping the balloons quickly and easily. Even round 15 went off without a hitch, but now it was time to get a Druid of the Jungle. I knew this would be tough, but if we keep spamming brambles we should be fine. This took us to round 26, where we were able to sell our Dart Monkeys and make the Druid a 030. Luckily, Half Cash doesn't affect sell prices, just income generation. Now, we're set for the early game, and we just need to prep for camos and the Moab. For camos, we got a 022 Wizard and continued placing brambles whenever we could, and for the Moab, we got 2 hot shots. I figured we couldn't get enough money for an overdrive, so I went for this cheaper solution. This turned out to be a great call, as we didn't even have the money to fully upgrade our second tack by the time round 40 started, and the insides got to the very end of the track. Luckily, the Druid was able to pop everything before leaking, so we got all the money and didn't lose any more lives. Oben hit level 8 on round 42, which is absolutely perfect for giving our Druid vision for the 5 camo rainbows that come on this round. From here, we upgraded the Wizard, but not to a Necromancer. No, we made it a Dragon's Breath. I didn't think we'd have the money to get a Necromancer plus enough Moab popping power, so we just got this cheap value upgrade that'll help us through the 50s. And here, my cat Kramer joined us, helping us through this tough mode. Now, the end of the 40s make us some decent money and are easy to pop, so we took advantage of this by getting a discount village, which makes towers and upgrades in its range cheaper. Kind of risky, but afterwards, we started placing Druids of Wrath near it and Oban. I wasn't sure how well this would do before Poplus, but we popped the Moab on 50 super fast, even without abilities. With this confidence booster, we sold the hotshots and used that money to buy a Poplus and continued getting more Druids. This lowered our DPS for a minute, but once we got our 5th Druid, we were back. Now, we need some Poplus for the 60s, so that's what we focused on. We only had 2 for the round 60 BFB, and even with just this, we popped it without leaking. It wasn't as fast as I'd like, but what more can you expect from half cash? Going into round 63, we had 3 Poplus and bought Heart of Thunder on our Druid of the Jungle. This gives it a lightning attack that'll be super nice for the layered leads, and with the pierce buffs from the Poplus, it'll actually help quite a bit with the ceramic rushes. The first 2 waves went off without a hitch, and we popped the third with a wall of trees. After round 64, we bought Jungle Drums and buffed some of our Druids with an Alchemist. I made sure to buff them under the effect of the discount village, so Berserker Brew was very affordable. But then we went back to Poplus. This lasted well into the 70s, even with us farming Wall of Trees, but with each one we could feel the increased popping power. We got this final Poplus on round 77 and finished the run with another Alchemist. And just like that, we beat half cash. Before heading into Impoppable, I had 10 monkey knowledge points to spend, something I probably should have done before half cash. I didn't want to waste a ton of time picking out the best ones, so I went into the primary tree and got as many as I could. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what all I got, but they can't hurt. So with that, we jumped into Impoppable. Here, we only have 1 life, things are more expensive than hard mode, and we have to beat rounds 6 through 100. I did the classic dart sub start. It wasn't the fastest, but it got us through without leaking. From here, we picked up the second submarine as it's just a cheaper twin guns and started saving money. Nothing was going to get past these 2 for a while, so we beat the next few rounds and placed Oban near the start of the track. Now, we just need to work on speed, so I upgraded 1 sub to an airburst darts with global range and sold the other one. From here, the plan was simple. Get a wall of fire up front and upgrade our sub. I knew we needed some Moab popping power, and I figured the easiest way to do this was getting our sub to an APD. Prices are so high in Impoppable that getting these 2 upgrades on the sub seemed to be the best choice. Then we upgraded the dart monkey to a sharpshooter and took on round 40. It got kinda far because we didn't have any brambles to help, but it still only took us 3 seconds to beat the round. Now it's time to start farming. Finally, that farm XP is going to come in clutch as the 40s are very easy and banana farms will help us overcome the high prices in this game mode. We got 2 of them down, making both of them 200s, so they each make $160 per round. This let us get a Necromancer on round 46 and a 202 village on 48. This will keep our time down and set us up for Druids in the future. Next, we had to decide what path to go on our farms. Normally, I get banks in Impoppable, but they are much better with certain monkey knowledge points that we don't have, so we opted for marketplaces. Before making these though, I wanted to make sure we'd be set for the 50s, so I put an overdrive and a Berserker Brew up front to take out the Moabs quickly. Once we had these down, we upgraded both farms to 203s so they could start making $400 each per round. And they collect themselves. Then we worked on our Druids, getting 4 Poplus by round 63, which was more than enough to beat the round. And shortly after, we were finally able to incorporate an Ice Monkey into our run. We placed one right next to our overdrive, and on round 67, we finally got the XP to unlock Embrittlement. This makes any Bloon or Blimp it hits take extra damage from every attack, and it pairs great with tack shooters because of how many tacks they shoot out per second. And with this setup, we were able to get a tack zone on round 77. Just in time for the ZOMGs to start showing up. This won't be enough to beat the 90s quickly though, so I got down 2 more marketplaces to help us get some more monkeys by the end of the game. We saved up until round 86 where we bought the Prince of Darkness, the upgraded Necromancer. This guy respawns much more than just Bloons, he brings back BFBs and Moabs that pack quite the punch. And we gave most of our defenses a MIB so that they can pop DDTs, which are blimps that are super fast and have the camo and lead properties. This was absolutely killing it and was probably enough to win, but we sold the marketplaces and could afford the Avatar of Wrath, the upgrade after Poplust. This guy does more damage the more Bloons are on screen, so he excels in the late 90s, especially when buffed by Oban and 5 Poplus. This shredded the rounds about as fast as possible and let us get a first strike submarine for round 100. This guy has an ability that deals 10,000 damage to the strongest Bloon on screen, which is amazing for the last round as we just faced 1 mega blimp called the Bad, and if we time this ability correctly, we can skip some of or all the insides. Unfortunately, we mistimed it, so we still had to pop these ZOMGs, but we did get to skip the DDTs. And with that, we beat Impoppable just over 2 hours into starting this account. But now all that's left is Chimps, a game mode with no continues, one life, no ways of making extra money, and monkey knowledge, powers, and selling are all disabled. It's supposed to be the true test of a BTD master, and we're about to take it on. Luckily, prices are the same as hard mode, so a bit cheaper than Impoppable. We started off with a dart monkey and a sub, and saved up for twin guns. Because we can't sell in this game mode, I didn't want to pick up a second sub for the early game, but this let us get Hbomb down in the middle of round 11 and start getting him XP. We had a couple routes we could go, but I wanted to make use of our submarine, so we upgraded it to an advanced intel and it started shooting the balloons with Hbomb and the dart monkey. This really upped our speed, but what brought it up to fast was getting a wizard at the start of the track so the sub could see the balloon spawn. Then we gave it airburst darts to triple its damage and we were in business. We got our classic wall of fire and crossbow to round out our damage types and camo detection, then went back to the sub, making it a 204 so we could pop the Moab quickly. Even with this though, it got kind of far. Probably because I spent a lot of money making a discount village in the late 30s. I guess I should have saved that for the 40s, but it's too late now. I went to placing druids in range of this village in Hbomb, and the second one we got, I accidentally put in a terrible spot, wasting a ton of space in the middle. And this is the one game mode we can't sell in, and we can't exit to home and replace him because that would give us a gold border instead of a black one. Actually a big mistake, as we'll not be able to fit as many monkeys as I'd like in there, but we have to continue on. I placed a few more druids, upgraded the wizard to a necromancer, and made the village a 202 over the rest of the 40s. But now it's Popless time. These rounds flew by, but in the 50s, we got all the Popless in range of each other and Hbomb, but not all of them were under the effect of the village. And at the end of this, Hbomb hit level 10 and we unlocked his wall of trees. Unlike the other game modes though, we did not put these at the very start of the track. No, we put them as far back as we could as a failsafe, as the trees don't make any extra money in Chimps, so we're just using them to make sure we don't leak. Once all the Popless were down, we prepped for round 60 by getting an overdrive up front and upgraded the village to a primary training. This popped the BFB pretty quick, and we followed it up with an embrittlement to make all of our monkeys better. And as you can see, we crushed rounds 63 and 64 with this. This domination continued into the 70s, where we were able to buy the tax zone just in time for 75, which is a sneakily tough round. But here is where I didn't know what to do. Normally I'd save up for a super brittle, but we don't have that unlocked yet. I didn't want to spend a ton of money on the Prince of Darkness because we might struggle in the 90s if I did that, and if we went an Avatar of Wrath, it wouldn't have lead popping power, so we'd be relying on the Ice Monkey to de-lead every DDT, which is risky when it's only a tier 4. So we just started saving money. We saved all the way until around 86, where we finally came to a conclusion. Build a Spirit of the Forest as it'll benefit from the Popless, and we can make it a 150 which has lead popping power. We could afford this on round 87, and very quickly the track was covered in his deadly thorns. It did quite well in the late 80s and early 90s, so we just buffed our main damage dealers with some alchemists and looked for any places where more towers could fit. Unfortunately, there wasn't much room, so we got a first strike sub a bit early and then placed some more Popless. And this brought us to round 100. The final round of the challenge. We took out the outer layer pretty quick, and the ZOMGs didn't live much longer. But just like that, we black bordered Tinkerton in 2 hours and 22 minutes, 13 minutes ahead of schedule. Or did we? I was a little confused on how we shaved off so much time, so I went to go look at the black border and it was still bronze. We were missing a medal. Reverse mode. Now, I was very flustered and I stopped the timer, so we'll just time it in post. For now though, we have a mode to beat. I instantly placed a dart monkey up front, but that was actually the end of the track, so I panic bought 2 darts on the right and sold the one on the left. We backed this up with a boomer and eventually Hbomb. It's very weird now starting at round 1 with medium prices after taking on half cash Impoppable and Chimps, but I'm here for it. Also, please forgive me for not moving my camera, it didn't even cross my mind at the time. But after this, we got our usual wall of fire, crossbow, and even made a bionic boomer on round 27. Something we haven't gotten for a while. From here, I wasn't sure what to get. This side of the map is different in that we can't put a bunch of towers right at the start because there are obstacles in the way. So we just upgraded our boomer to a turbocharge and planned on using its ability for any tough round. This, combined with a sharpshooter, should be able to pop any Moab heading our way, which was shown on round 40. After that, we got a necromancer and an overdrive. I knew it wouldn't be as good on this side, but I didn't know what else to get. So we buffed everything with a village and an alchemist, and then did something new. Instead of druids or something lame like that, we started placing bouncing bullet snipers inside the range of the discount village. These guys are surprisingly cheap and will counter most of the rounds in the 50s. We did this for the rest of the run, and were able to pop the final BFB basically the second it came on screen, officially giving us the black border 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 2 seconds after hitting play for the first time on this account, exactly 4 minutes faster than we did 2 years ago.